We think we are the masters of our own choices, but for most of us, we are simply living out a survival script written by our youngest, most wounded selves. Your brain isn't broken. It has been physically modified for a war that ended years ago. Every time you push someone away, every time you shut down, and every time you feel that inexplicable chest tightening anxiety, it isn't just who you are. It is the invisible architect of trauma designing your reality from the shadows of your subconscious. Today, we are going to look into the mirror of your biology to see why your brain is still stuck in defense mode and how you can finally reclaim the wheel of a life that was never meant to be driven by fear. This is the truth about how your past is physically living in your present and how to finally let it go. Have you ever wondered why you find yourself reacting with 10 out of 10 intensity to a situation that in reality only deserves a 2? Why is it that despite all the books you've read and the promises you've made to yourself, you still push away the people you love most the moment things feel too close? We often mistake our personality for our history, but what if I told you that the way you love, the way you argue, and the way you view your own worth is being governed by a biological blueprint you didn't even know was being drawn? Most of us view trauma as a singular catastrophic event, something we can point to on a calendar. But the truth is far more subtle and profound. Trauma is the invisible architect of your current reality, silently designing the walls you build around your heart and the windows through which you view your partner. When we experience emotional pain that we cannot process, our brain doesn't just record a memory, it physically rewires itself to prioritize survival over connection. Deep within your mind, a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala acts as your internal smoke detector. Its only job is to keep you alive. But when you have walked through the fire of past betrayal, abandonment, or neglect, that smoke detector becomes hypersensitive. It starts screaming danger at the slightest scent of a candle, or even just the memory of heat. This is why you feel that sudden tightness in your chest when a partner is 5 minutes late, or why you shut down completely during a minor disagreement. You aren't actually reacting to the person in front of you. You are reacting to the ghost in the room, a past version of yourself that is still trying to protect you from a threat that no longer exists. This is the biological hijack, where your logical, loving brain goes offline, leaving you trapped in a survival script written years ago. The ancient wisdom traditions tell us that we do not see the world as it is, but as we are. And modern neuroscience now confirms that if your brain has been wired for defense, your world will always look like a battlefield, even when you are standing in a garden of peace. You are not difficult, and you are not broken, you are adapted. But the very strategies that helped you survive your past are now the same ones sabotaging your future. Your brain is a masterpiece of resilience, but until you understand how it has been shaped by what you've endured, you will continue to be a passenger in a life driven by your wounds. Awareness is the first step in reclaiming the wheel. Think about the last time you felt an instant electric connection with someone. That magnetic pull you likely labeled as chemistry. But in the deep waters of psychology, we often discover that what we call a spark is actually our nervous system recognizing a familiar pattern of chaos. If your early experiences of love were tied to inconsistency, your brain begins to equate uncertainty with passion and peace with boredom. This is how trauma rewires your attachment style, turning your romantic life into a recurring loop of the same emotional hurdles. If you find yourself constantly chasing reassurance, feeling as though you are walking a tightrope of abandonment, you aren't just needy, you are operating from an anxious attachment wired by past instability. On the flip side, if you feel a sudden, suffocating urge to run the moment someone truly sees you, it isn't just that you value your independence, it's an avoidant response designed to protect you from the vulnerability that once caused you pain. We think we are choosing our partners based on shared values, but more often, we are choosing them based on the wounds they reflect back at us. This is the relational mirror. We find ourselves trapped in trauma bonds where the high of reconciliation feels so addictive only because it temporarily silences the deafening low of the original wound. But perhaps the most hidden obstacle is the emotional flashback. Unlike a visual memory, an emotional flashback doesn't come with a picture. It comes with a physical conviction. Suddenly, a simple "we need to talk" doesn't just feel like a conversation. It feels like the floor is dropping out from under you. You are no longer an adult in the present. You are a child in the past, fighting for emotional survival. We must have the courage to ask ourselves, am I actually loving this person? Or am I trying to get this person to fix a version of me that was broken long ago? We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are accustomed to, and until we heal the mirror, we will continue to see the same distorted reflection in every new face we meet. Your relationships will only ever be as healthy as your self-awareness. So stop looking for the right person and start becoming the right environment for love to grow. We must stop using other people as bandages for wounds they didn't cause, because a partner can walk beside you, but they can never carry the weight of your history for you. Have you ever noticed that you can intellectually understand your trauma, yet your body still feels like it's under siege? You may have spent hours analyzing your past, reading books, and talking through your history. But the moment a door slams or a partner's tone shifts, your heart begins to race and your breath turns shallow. Why is there such a profound disconnect between what you know and what you feel? The answer lies in a truth that ancient wisdom has taught for millennia and modern science is only now proving: the mind remembers the story, but the body remembers the sting. In the ancient Vedic traditions, there is a concept known as samskaras, invisible grooves or mental impressions left on the consciousness by every intense experience we endure. Think of your nervous system like a field of fresh, untouched snow. A traumatic event is like a heavy sled pulled across that field, leaving a deep, jagged track. The most profound act of self-love is refusing to let your past have the final say in who you become. Today, your history is a lesson, not a life sentence. And every conscious breath you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. Now that we understand the internal landscape of the brain, we have to address the most challenging frontier. Most of us have been taught that healing is a solo journey, a mountain we climb alone before we are ready to love. But the truth is, while trauma often happens in the context of a relationship, it is also in the context of a healthy relationship that it is most profoundly healed. This brings us to the vital concept of emotional safety. You cannot ask a flower to bloom in a frozen wasteland, and you cannot ask your nervous system to let down its guard if the environment feels like a battlefield. The greatest gift you can give your partner is not the promise that you will never be triggered, but the map of your wounds. Imagine the difference it would make if instead of lashing out in a moment of panic, you could say, "My brain is currently telling me that I'm not safe because of what happened to me years ago. I need you to just sit with me." This is the move from accusation to vulnerability. We transition from "you are making me angry" to "I am feeling scared." And this is where the magic of co-regulation begins. Science shows us that when two people are in a close relationship, their nervous systems actually begin to sync up. If your partner can remain a non-anxious presence, a calm harbor while your storm is raging, the steady heart rate and deep breathing can actually signal to your amygdala that the danger has passed. You are literally healing each other's brains through the simple act of staying present. But this requires a radical shift in perspective. Stop seeing your partner's triggers as an attack on you and start seeing them as a cry for safety. When we stop being prosecutors of each other's pasts and start being protectors of each other's peace, the relationship transforms from a source of stress into a sanctuary of recovery. You don't need a perfect partner to heal. You need a partner who is willing to learn the language of your nervous system as much as they learn the language of your heart. Healing is not a destination you reach so you can finally be loved. It is the process of being loved exactly where you are broken. Stop trying to find someone who doesn't have a past. What if the very wound you've spent your entire life trying to hide is actually the birthplace of your greatest strength? We often view the journey of healing as a return to who we were before the pain. But the truth of human psychology is far more miraculous. You are not meant to go back to an old version of yourself. You are meant to evolve into someone entirely new. There is a powerful phenomenon in psychology known as post-traumatic growth, which suggests that those who endure deep psychological struggle don't just bounce back. They bounce forward. They develop a profound sense of empathy, a shifted set of priorities, and a spiritual maturity that cannot be found in a life of ease. In the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi, when a piece of pottery breaks, it is repaired with gold. The philosophy is that the piece is more beautiful for having been broken, and the scars are not hidden but highlighted as part of its history. This is the alchemist's journey. Your trauma is the lead heavy, cold, and burdensome. But your conscious awareness is the heat that transforms that lead into the gold of wisdom. You have to realize that healing is not a destination you reach where the memory of the pain disappears. It is a spiral where you revisit the same lessons from a higher perspective each time. Some days you will feel like you have conquered the mountain, and other days the old familiar sting will return. Do not mistake a moment of triggers for a lack of progress. Your nervous system is learning a new language, and fluency takes time. The most important thing you can do is to stop punishing yourself for how long it's taking you to heal. You wouldn't expect a broken bone to knit itself together in an hour. So why do you expect your soul to mend on a deadline? As you rewire your brain, you aren't just changing your own life. You are breaking ancestral cycles that have likely lived in your family for generations. You are the one who had the courage to look at the pain and say, "This ends with me." Your struggle is becoming your service, and your scars are becoming your credentials. When you heal your own heart, you become a lighthouse for every other person still lost in the storm of their own history. You are not a victim of what happened to you. You are the architect of what happens next. The most profound victory is not living a life without pain, but living a life where your pain no longer has the power to tell you who you are. Turn your history into a compass, not an anchor, and let the person you are becoming finally meet the person you have been protecting.